Welcome to my channel. My name's Bissy, and in this video I'll be breaking down the 10 times Interview with the Vampire parts 1 and 2 left me completely speechless. If you haven't watched the show, please note that this video will contain spoilers, so here's your spoiler warning. So without further ado, let's get into my top 10 shocking moments from Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire parts 1 and 2. Number 10. Lestat destroys 2 priests. At the end of episode 1, Lestat confronts Louis at Louis's brother's funeral, as Louis had pulled away from him after their first night of passion. Louis pulls further away from him and runs to his church to confess and beg for forgiveness. Lestat appears in the church during Louis's confession, where he completely destroys 2 priests before offering his eternal love to Louis. When I say destroys, I mean he literally punches through the head of one and rips the other from the confessional before feeding on him. This is all to display his immense power to Louis. To say that I was shocked on my first viewing of the show would be a complete understatement, especially as this was then followed by the most tender moment as Louis shakily takes Lestat's head in his hands and accepts his offer of the dark gift with a kiss. This scene is perfect in my opinion. Not only does it shake you awake, the violence is graphic but not gratuitous. It gears you up perfectly for the incredible roller coaster that is Louis and Lestat's relationship. Number 9. Louis and Armand's sub-dom dynamic. Louis and Armand's dynamic changes often during their 77-year relationship. But one switch that felt like it came out of nowhere was the sub-dom change-up that is most evident in episode 6 of part 2, where Louis, with a straight face, says to Armand, "Close off, face down in the coffin." My jaw hit the floor at that scene. But on the second watch through, I realised that the writers had actually laid the breadcrumbs for the dynamic switch back in episode 4 of part 2. Louis and Armand are sitting on a bench in the rain after Louis had said goodbye to Dreamstat, his imaginary version of Lestat. Mid-conversation, Louis states to Armand, "I'm a little wet." And that was Armand's cue to obediently cover Louis with his umbrella. It's subtle, but it's a clear change from the Louis who was scared that Armand was going to kill him, and it's a reminder of the human side of Louis. You know, the former brothel owner? Their dynamic switches again and again, but that one line left me speechless. Number 8. September the 8th, 1973. Did you hurt yourself? Sam Reed's performance in this scene and his delivery of that one line, "Did you hurt yourself?" brought me to tears on my first watch. You feel every second of worry, pain, and the love he must have felt since Armand made that call to him at 11:07 in New Orleans and 9:07 in San Francisco on the 8th of September 1973. We seem to be seeing Lestat in his most vulnerable state, just loving Louis. Despite the years, the distance, and the things they have done to hurt each other, he never wants Louis to hurt himself. The writers of the show must have seen some things, man, as to be able to tap into this type of writing, it has to come from somewhere real, right? Regardless, everything about this line, from the lead up to the delivery, left me speechless. Number 7. 1973. Beige pillow. The 9 minutes of Armand and Louis fighting, jumping between Louis and Daniel listening to the recording in 2021 to us being taken back to the apartment in 1973, was, in my opinion, masterful storytelling. The writing, the dialogue, the acting were all exquisite. When Louis calls Armand a beige pillow, it literally sent shivers down my spine. Lestat says in a later episode that Louis is deceptively agile with words, and this is a black and white example of that in the moment. When Armand repeats, "Lestat, Lestat, 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 Lestat," man, the exasperation, the deep resentment of the name and the man. To me, it felt like it was more the fact that Louis seemed to cover up just how much Lestat was still on his mind these past 23 years. And Louis repeating that name again and again, and Armand telepathically sensing just how deep those feelings were behind it every time it was said during those 10 hours. Well, Assad Zaman portrayed every inch of that emotion incredibly. I almost felt guilty, like I was listening in on the couple next door fighting or something. That's how incredible the performances were. Speechless. Number 6. Lestat's last words in blood. The season finale of part 1 is a wild ride. Claudia executes her plan perfectly, the same way she did in her victorious chess match against Lestat. She thought of absolutely everything, And in the end, Lestat learned that you should never underestimate Claudia. I couldn't believe it when I saw Claudia dip that pen into Lestat's neck and write his last words in his own blood. Put me in my coffin, Louis, Louis. The entire scene was shocking and sad, but that really left me speechless. Number 5, Armand's story, In Kind. In an attempt to get closer to Louis, Armand takes him to the Louvre and tells him his story, in the hopes that Louis will better understand him and accept him for who he is. Stood in front of Palma Vecchio's The Adoration of the Shepherds with a donor, in what is a beautifully acted and an incredibly well-written scene, Armand took Louis through his life in Delhi, his enslavement in a brothel, and the incredibly horrible things he was subjected to there, and his devotion to his maker, Marius the Romanus. In those 3 minutes and 40 seconds, Asad Zaman's monologue was just breathtaking. Number 4, Louis lied. Let's go with Lestat's version. Throughout parts 1 and 2, Daniel Malloy pokes at Louis for his misremembering / embellishment of certain events in his story. The odyssey of recollection, right? Louis' tendency to play down his role in things or allow his emotion to colour his assessment of a memory are evident. However, in episode 7 of part 2, it all falls away and Louis admits that Lestat's version of Claudia's turn-in is the more honest version. It's painful to watch him accept what he has done, seemingly involuntarily. But however bittersweet it may be, we seem to have finally gotten to the truth of how Claudia was made, even if Claudia will never know herself. This revelation for me left me speechless for Claudia. Number 3, Daniel exposes Armand. He directed the play. The finale of part 2 is just incredible in my opinion. Daniel shows just how far he's come as a journalist since 1973, as he artfully manoeuvres the final minutes of the interview to expose Armand's seismic lie. He warms Louis up and takes him to the metaphorical stream by asking leading questions in the hope that Louis would realise the unthinkable. That there was, in fact, more than one person capable of saving him in the theatre that afternoon. And when Louis does not, or cannot, drink from the stream, Daniel outright accuses an over 500-year-old powerful vampire of lying to his face, whilst he provides Louis with indisputable proof. And I detected a certain amount of glee in Daniel's voice whilst he did it. An FU to the monster who tortured him and wiped his memory all those years ago. The revelation of Armand's lie, coupled with the look of realization that covers Louis' face, the looming fear in Armand's eyes, and Daniel's smug glances, all culminate in what is, for me, such a satisfying ending to the interview. Number 2, Lestat drops Louis. You're just going to leave me? At the end of episode 5 of part 1, Claudia returns home after leaving for 7 long years. Louis is relieved that she is finally home, whilst Lestat is immediately angry and indignant at Claudia's return. Lestat can't believe that after 1,000 nights of sulking, Louis is even considering leaving him to travel to Europe with Claudia. After everything he had endured in the past 7 years, and just like that, Louis is ready to up and leave him. Again, Sam Reed's performance left my eyes wide open and my gob well and truly smacked. When he delivers the line, Louis, Louis, Louis! At the first sight of her, you're just going to leave me? My goodness, I felt every lonely night, 7 years of distance, the helplessness of witnessing the person you love withdraw from you, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. And then the fight. So much happens in the last few minutes of this episode. After Lestat snaps and grabs Claudia by the neck, Louis jumps to Claudia's defense. They throw each other around their townhouse, but Lestat loses his restraint, and it becomes a one-sided attack by Lestat on Louis. Lestat displays his cloud gift for the very first time and lifts Louis 2 kilometers in the air. Lestat pleads with Louis to tell him that he doesn't love him, as at least knowing that would release him from his agony. It was in that moment that I realised that we had never actually heard Louis say "I love you" to Lestat. Lestat actually drops Louis from that incredible height. And back on the ground, Lestat sees the damage that he has caused to Louis' body and their relationship. After I watched this episode for the first time, I seriously had to take a moment to take in what I had just seen. It was the turning point for me, from "this is a really good show" to "I love what they are doing with this show and I have to see what happens next." And that feeling has not gone away. Number 1, Lestat's apology. I know, I saw, because I am the one who broke him. Really, it was the entirety of episode 7 of part 2 that floored me completely. I felt like I was there in the theatre that day, and I don't believe that was by accident. In fact, it was so skillfully written, directed and acted that I don't believe that anyone could watch this and not feel something. I had been patiently awaiting Lestat's arrival in the show all season, and boy, with this episode, it was so worth the wait. Lestat takes us through his version of events from part 1, and they very much differ from Louis' telling. The part that really stuck with me and left me speechless was Lestat's apology for dropping Louis. There are so many layers to this, as not only did Lestat survive what Louis and Claudia did to him, but he travelled to Europe to get his revenge by rehearsing this play that would end up in the demise of Louis, Claudia and Madeleine. This all being recalled to us by Louis and Armand through the script that was written by a member of Armand's coven. In the midst of all of this, Lestat goes off script and gives his version of the lead up to their fight. With tears in his eyes, he says, I broke him. I know, I saw, because I'm the one who broke him. This monologue in particular has stayed with me because I've never seen this side of a domestic violence scenario portrayed on television before. It's complicated for me because he does take accountability and doesn't try to excuse what he did. Instead, he perfectly demonstrates his feelings and emotions leading up to it. I can't say that I sympathise with him because I cannot sympathise with that behaviour, but it did make me think, and his performance made me listen. I think about this performance often, and I still haven't landed on a firm conclusion on what I think yet. And for me, I couldn't ask more from a TV show than that. That has been my top 10. I would love to know the moments that made you speechless. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I've loved making this video, and if you've enjoyed it and would like to see more videos like this from me, please do subscribe and like this video. I cannot wait for the Vampire Lestat, like seriously. So let's go on this ride together. Thanks, bye!